Hi, and welcome back to Rick's Room. I'm Rick Grant, and I created this show to give me more opportunity to speak to industry leaders like I do at conferences, but you can't be at a conference every day. So this allows me to talk to the people who are making a difference in probably where you and I both work. Now, today is no exception. You may know my guest today from his work with the Michigan Mortgage Lenders Association, or maybe you've known him for a long time, back when he was at Flagstar or Citigroup, or more recently when he built and launched FinLocker. But we know him today as the top man, the top executive at MISMO. He's Brian Vieaux. Brian, thanks for being with me. Now, I thought, and I have long thought, that MISMO has been doing a fantastic job. But the positive things I've seen since you moved into the organization have blown my socks off.
Oh.
I want to talk to you about those specifically, but first, let's start with why you made the move. FinLocker is such an interesting piece of tech, and you worked so hard on it. What got you to move over?
Great question. I love that. I wasn't looking to make a change at all. I'm, very proud of what we built at FinLocker, the traction we were getting. And I'd been with FinLocker for 6 years. Many people think I was the founder. I'm not the founder. I have some of the founder scars, but I'm not a founder. I got to FinLocker after it had been around for 3 or so years, and still a big believer in what they're building. There's a massive need for reaching, assisting, and educating early journey first-time homebuyers, and no better source to do that than local loan officers. So the traction that FinLocker was getting with loan officers and that product was really inspiring, and thankful for it. But I did, this opportunity with MISMO was introduced to me, we'll say late last spring into the early summer. And my first reaction, Rick, was, no, I'm not a trade association guy. I don't think that's I don't think that I'm the right person for that. And as I started having conversations with some of the folks, responsible for MISMO at the board level, it dawned on me that the things that I was able to do to help elevate the FinLocker brand, they were very much needed and are very much needed to elevate the MISMO brand. And you said this, it's, MISMO's been around for a long time. It's a 26-year-old organization. And it has done, and it continues to do amazing things, but we want to do so much more. And in order to do that, we need to bring in more of the mortgage ecosystem into the MISMO community. And when we say bring them in, we mean, figuratively, literally, and economically. we need to bring them in. And so essentially where I got to in my head was a lot of the same muscle I had to develop to help do what we did at FinLocker would apply to what we need to do here at MISMO. And, to your point, first, thank you for noticing. We've been really active in getting out in front of the industry, and thank you for the opportunity, because it's through these opportunities that we're able to get out and build the awareness for MISMO, who we are, what we do, why we're important to the industry, and more importantly, why people should participate. So I'll close that question with this. I'm a lifelong, mortgage banker, started in the early 90s, spent 30 years or so on the traditional lending side of the business, 6 years in the technology vendor partner side. And as I thought about, this move to MISMO, and I expect this to be, but if this is my last, chapter in the industry, it's kind of a cool way to kind of close the book by truly being in a place where I can give back and serve the industry, not from a logo, a company, but truly serve it from MISMO. In MISMO, we are a nonprofit. We exist by and for the mortgage ecosystem. So, I guess maybe I'm hoping that this last chapter will be able to kind of create some legacy along the way.
Well, if anyone can do it, Brian. It might be you. I'm an old tech reporter, so I was with Mortgage Technology way back in the day, and I love writing about technology. I was covering MISMO way back, way back,
Yeah.
and they were doing great things way back, and the purpose of the organization is really important. But seeing someone like you who was on the lender side transition to technology, which I always loved seeing that in the stories I wrote because it meant you had a more direct connection to the actual user of the
Yeah.
tech. But now with both of those sets of experience moving into the nonprofit world where you're going to work with the organization and build this, that seems like you're uniquely suited to view this a whole new way. So what can you tell me about the way you view the MISMO mission from where you sit now?
Yeah. So I think it's, Rick, we're in 2026, right? And AI is all the rage. It was, everything we heard about in 2025, and it's everything we were hearing about early in 2026. And if you think about any kind of AI at any level, right, it's basically a model. And you know, to that regard, desktop underwriter is a model and was a model when it was implemented. And so if we want to compare and contrast, if you use desktop underwriter today and you put bad data into DU, you're going to get an unreliable output, right? And
Right.
so when we think about applying AI across our industry to help us find and create efficiencies and automate workflows and do all the stuff that we think AI can do, if we don't have the data right to begin with, we're going to have bad workflows and bad outputs. And so I think we're at this real critical place in the industry where MISMO can play an even bigger role in helping industry find ways to adapt AI in a responsible manner, but also in a uniform manner that allows us to truly scale and not have like checkers having to check the checkers every time a loan passes from point A to B to C to D.
No, that makes perfect sense, Brian. I remember writing about MISMO in the early days, back in the hard-coded integration days,
Yeah.
when MISMO's message was the data matters, the quality matters, the mapping matters. And it was kind of hard to get people on board that didn't see how they really needed that.
Yeah.
But with AI, that's all the rage. So, yeah, so that must really be lighting a fire under people who maybe weren't so excited about it before. How will you take advantage of that?
Well, I'd like to say something that makes me sound a lot smarter than I am, but I'm smart enough to know that people know better, so I won't do that. How will we take advantage of that? I would tell you, Rick, that it's already happening. Like there in the last, so I've been with MISMO now for 4 months, and then I would say in the last 8 weeks, I've had at least a half dozen startup entities, and these are either true startup businesses or businesses that want to enter into the mortgage
Mhm.
industry. They've reached out and basically they've said, we are building our product, our platform, our workflows, our processes on MISMO. Can you help us? Right. And so I think new entrants, anybody that's coming into our space and building product, and most of what I'm describing, the people that have reached out are in the AI space. Um, but they've already recognized by doing their research and probably leveraging AI to help them do the research that, over 26 years, MISMO has created and maintained somewhere in the magnitude of 200 standards. And so if you're going to come into our industry and you're going to build and bring new product or new process or new workflows in, why wouldn't you build on top of the standards that have existed and run, the loan manufacturing rails of our industry? So I think what I'm encouraged by is those new players recognize MISMO and they're finding us. But we're also having conversations with some of the legacy technology platforms that are in the process of, modernizing their tech stack, and they're recognizing that in order to do that efficiently going forward, they have to leverage standards. So I do think that the broader industry understands the value of standards, and my role I think is to continue to educate the industry at scale so that anytime there's opportunity, whether you're in a lending organization looking to build your own tech or processes, or like I said, a new entrant coming in, that you you start from a place that where the work's already been done by experts and by the industry for decades.
Wow. And this is taking me back, Brian, because I don't know if you know, but that's almost exactly the dream of earlier MISMO executives that told me, guys like Gabe Minton, they were always saying, we want to build it so people can come in and build to it.
Yeah,
But we just didn't have that much new technology
that's right.
that was coming. So having them actually call you and say, yeah, can we have the data schemas? Can we have the
Yeah,
foundation we need to build? That's like the culmination of a goal this
yeah,
organization had for years.
yeah. And I want to make sure because I'm coming into this thing 26 years after it's founded, right? Um, I feel responsible for all of those that came before me, and Gabe is a great example. Um, there's a lot of people that poured, their expertise, experience, their resources, their time into getting something like MISMO off the ground. And then you had a guy like Rick Hill with the
Mm,
MBA
yeah.
who sat in this interim role for the last 2 years or so, um, and so there's a lot of people that if we had more than 12 or 15 minutes, we should name them all, but we won't do that today. But they know who they are. The industry should know who they are, and part of what I want to do is I'm kind of building more awareness around MISMO is recognize all the people that make up the MISMO community and its current state and it's from the very beginning.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully there's somewhere on the MISMO website they can find all
Yeah,
these folks because they did the groundwork, the foundational work. But to really, really achieve the goal, it seems like it's going to take someone like you, someone that can spread this out to the industry. And the reason I say this is we all see the MISMO meeting announcements, and I've been guilty of this many times. I think many people are. You say, well, that's the MISMO work group, and I'm not really part of that. It's not for me.
mm,
But lately, I heard you're going to start streaming some of these meetings. That's exciting because if
yeah,
people start seeing what's happening, they may realize it is for them.
yeah. I mean, great segue into our upcoming winter summit. It's next week. I don't know when this will publish, but January 12th through the 15th in Amelia Island, Florida. That's the physical location of the summit. And we will be streaming the starting on Monday from the summit. We'll be streaming a 3-hour workshop that's centered on the latest standard that was published in December, the mortgage compliance data set. So we'll be streaming that workshop, and we are really inviting the entire. We want as many people as possible to come into these conversations because we're at the stage now with the MCD in particular where we're ready to start the adoption stage of things, and it's not too late for people to kind of put their stamp on things. So we invite you to get involved that way. And then Tuesday at our event is our what we call our education day. So Tuesday looks like a typical, conference where you have, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. A stage full of speakers, and we've kind of tried to mix it up a little bit this time around. We've got a lot of AI conversation. I'm doing a fireside chat with Brandon Milhorn, who's the president and CEO of the Conference of State Bank Supervisors. So
Nice.
he runs the association that all the regulators belong to. So
Yep.
we're going to have a really candid conversation around the importance of adoption for MCD. And then Wednesday and Thursday is the unique aspect of a MISMO summit. That's when 34 work groups convene in person where they otherwise throughout the year are meeting virtually, but they get to come together in person 3 times a year. And we know not everybody can, either due to calendars or budgets or what have you, make the way to Jacksonville, Florida. So those work groups will all be streamed. So there'll be a hybrid kind of in person and streamed workshop for those development work groups. In those 34 work groups, Rick, that's what I've learned here in my first 4 months. That's the magic of MISMO.
Yeah.
Myself and my team, we're small. There's only 6 of us on MISMO proper, the team, the organization, and then we have a group of facilitators that work with us, and each facilitator manages those development work groups, those DWGs. the DWGs consist of subject matter experts who volunteer their time, experience, expertise, and sometimes resources to these work groups to solve big industry problems. These are selfless people and companies that these people work for that again are doing work for the entire industry, not for their own company, not for themselves. And that's the magic of MISMO. It's really a community that I'm super proud to be part of today.
Absolutely. All right. If you're watching this, you still have time to take part in what's going to happen next week. Look it up, find out how you can get into the stream or maybe visit in person, and then stay in touch. Brian Vieaux, president of MISMO, I got to tell you, I'm really excited about where you might take this year. And so I hope you'll find time or have time to come back and visit with us again in the future.
I would love to, Rick. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Great.